Hey there, everybody. Matt Carter here.
I'm Jessica Carter from CARTERMATT.com.
This video is a Grey's Anatomy discussion where we're now a couple episodes into the winter part of the season. And, Meredith Grey, she's always going to be at the forefront of everything, even if she's not the star of a given episode. But right now, I think we're in a very interesting spot. And it could be a very frustrating spot for some people as well, because her relationship with DeLuca is it's ambiguous, I think, to say the least. There's some feelings there, but we don't really know for sure where it's going. And then you have the introduction of Dr. Cormac Hayes, who is entering the equation, and Cormac has some appealing qualities of his own. But the real question here is this. Do we really need a love triangle right now? Is that where this is going? We want to take a look at this and sort of examine what makes DeLuca an interesting candidate for Meredith's future, why Cormac makes a certain degree of sense, and ultimately what Grey's Anatomy should be doing. Do we need to go down this road again, where we're all so familiar with it at this point?
Yeah, we are.
Well, if you like this video, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other updates. Let me just start with this, though, because at the start of this season, it felt like Meredith and DeLuca, they were kind of a thing, and they were really sort of building towards something. Are you surprised we're kind of in this situation right now?
I'm not. I mean, this is Grey's Anatomy, so they like to throw in a lot of problems, a lot of different hoops to jump through. But with this, it kind of makes sense, this story, that he's a bit insecure about himself and where he would stand with someone like Meredith. Meredith is amazing. She's well accomplished. She's been through a lot. She's just outstanding. And I can see that a outstanding, powerful woman like that would be intimidating to some people. Even if you're in a relationship with someone maybe you would be thinking, like, am I good enough? Am I accomplished enough? Is she going to get bored of me because I'm not as accomplished as her? So these types of questions completely make sense. And I like that they are actually looking at it.
I find myself of two minds at the moment because, like you, I'm not surprised that we're in this spot with DeLuca. But then I think also, conversely, I am kind of surprised that they decided to push in Cormac at this point, where all of a sudden it feels like here's this other alternative and we're going to try to build him up as though he is this like Christina branded stamp of approval candidate to be with Meredith. And it's a lot to sort of put on Grey's Anatomy as a show right now, and I don't know if it's needed, and I kind of feel like it's a little bit of a disservice to this Cormac character as well, because if you love Merluca, that is the Meredith and DeLuca ship, you're just going to be predisposed to not like this guy because of the way in which he is presented.
Yeah, I like him. I just don't like him for Meredith right now. And I don't really like him for anybody. I barely know him yet. Like, we had that sort of scene last week where Amelia and Meredith were kind of like looking at him. And he's handsome. He's got his charisma. And that's great. There's lots of people on the show that are handsome and have charisma. But do we need him to be a love interest of anybody right now? And for me, the answer is no. Like, I'm fine for him to be on the show, and I want to get to know him, and I want the characters to get to know him. But I would like to see Meredith and DeLuca, like, find their way through their relationship before any other decisions are made. I don't want to see a love triangle right now. I like DeLuca. I like Meredith.
Yeah.
And I like, that we have a problem inside of DeLuca that's really his own in his head. So it's not really a problem between them. It's something that he needs to work through, and I think he can work through it. And the fact that he didn't break up with her, like we saw in the last episode, he's just like, listen, like, we didn't break up. This isn't a breakup. So the fact that she misses him, they're not broken up. This is a good storyline. It doesn't need a third person to come in and start mucking it up.
Well, I think if we were to map out a case, I think, for Meredith and DeLuca here as to why this can conceivably work out, I think it starts from the fact that it was always kind of DeLuca in the first place who was pursuing Meredith in the early going, that she was the one who was a little bit more apprehensive, and he was sort of willing to go for it. So I think any of these sort of preconceived insecurities that were there then, they were sort of cast aside, and it's almost as though because their relationship has been building over time and I think becoming more serious, that some of these concerns have started to form. But I feel like if DeLuca and Meredith were going to fall apart because of something like whatever DeLuca is dealing with internally, it's kind of a weak way to end that relationship, where it's just sort of, I don't know if I, am doing enough for you. I don't know if I am what you're looking for. It just feels like you guys still obviously have feelings for each other. That hasn't gone anywhere. So why are we not trying to talk and figure things out? And I think the longer they go without giving a resolution to this, I think the more frustrating it will become, because it feels like a few conversations could fix it.
Well, and that's what Meredith basically said in this episode. Like, yeah, you backed off a little bit having these problems, but I'm a person who wants to talk through it. And that's where I think this just needs to go, because this is a fix that can happen for these two, that if DeLuca's feeling this way, instead of letting him go off and get in his feelings and make it worse, because we've all been there where we're feeling insecure about something, and then we take time by ourselves, and then we make it worse in our head than it really ever needed to be. Instead, I know she's had other things going on, but now she doesn't have those things going on. So now's the time to put time into him, to not just reassure him that he is good enough, but to kind of just spend time together reassuring each other in actions and in words that they are good enough for each other.
And I also just think that, a relationship like this, on paper, there could be this like myriad of problems where you could say, okay, DeLuca's working in not necessarily a lesser position at the Graceland Memorial, but, lesser position in comparison to Meredith. And, maybe in some work environments this would be troubling, but...
Yeah, but in some ways, I mean, everybody's in a lesser position than Meredith, so was she supposed to never date again?
Well, exactly. And beyond that, they know everybody at the hospital so well at this point that that's not really an issue. It's also not an issue of, is DeLuca going to be a good father figure for Meredith's kids, because there's already been some examples given that he does care about them and he's ready to sort of take on that responsibility, so that hasn't been an issue. It feels kind of like the major things that you would be worried about with a relationship with the two of them, those are sort of off the board. I mean, DeLuca and Maggie have a history, and Maggie seems more than fine with them as well, so it's just sort of like, okay guys, you've taken care of the big issues, let's try to find a way to resolve the other ones.
Yeah, and I just legitimately feel like there is a way through this. And yeah, if they break up because of this, that's going to be real weak. I'm not going to be that happy with that. I'm not going to be that happy with that type of a breakup. On the other hand, I'm also not going to be happy if she's just going to dump him because this other doctor has come in. I feel like Meredith is on a bit of a different path now after everything that just happened with her losing her license and all that sort of stuff, that maybe she's just going to be looking for a little bit more stability right now.
Yeah, I think if they do decide to split Meredith and DeLuca up, I'm not saying that that's going to wreck the show, but I do think that it's going to be tricky if they decide to just throw Meredith into another relationship with another doctor right away, because then you're sort of saying that Meredith Grey as a character is best when she is only functioning in a romantic relationship capacity, when we know already that that's not the case. And just, think back to how they sort of rushed the Riggs thing along in the past, and it was sort of like, Riggs was an interesting character, but they sort of shoehorned that into Meredith's love life so quickly that it felt a little bit like, okay, the writers don't think there's enough other stuff here, and there is enough other stuff there, and I think they eventually, we did see evidence that they figured that out. So I think if Cormac is going to exist in some capacity like that for Meredith, it can't happen this season. It would feel way too early and way too forced.
Yeah, I just want to see him develop more this season. I don't need to actually see him with anybody this season. I would just like to see him get to know everybody, let us get to know him, and just kind of go from there, because Meredith may not be the right person that he has chemistry with. There might be a surprise along the way that we didn't see coming that he has chemistry with. Like, let it happen a little more naturally. If it happens right now, it's just forced.
Yeah, I think that is the case, and I just remember the element of surprise I think that came with Link as a character to a certain degree. I mean, I do think that they rushed him stuff with Link as well, because it felt like they were trying to set him up with Meredith at first, but then sort of almost out of the blue, it turns out that Amelia and Link are really interesting together, and that was something that was a little bit different than what it was first established to be. So maybe Cormac ends up being the same case. I know him and Meredith, they have some things in common. You know, they're parents. They both obviously have relationships with Christina Yang. That's very important, clearly.
Yeah, but she obviously still really misses what she has going on with DeLuca. The fact that he backed off a little bit and she came in and was like, I miss you.
Yeah.
That tells me that she's still drawn to him and to their relationship, and she's not done yet. So I'm pretty happy about that.
This is just my theory on it, is I think Meredith and DeLuca will figure something out before the end of the season, and I think Cormac may have a role on Grey's Anatomy to play, but I feel like he's almost designed to be kind of a smokescreen, because they want us to have like that tiny trifle of doubt so that we can kind of get all worked up over it. But I'm going to predict that Meredith and DeLuca find a way to work things out.
Yeah, I just want to be on that hill, so that's what's happening for me as well. But I just don't, for right now, I just don't see the chemistry between Meredith and Cormac. I just don't see it. It's not there yet. It's just not there yet.
Well, we'll see exactly where things go. I mean, the crazy thing is we still have so much to go through in this season, because we had that really long hiatus. We're going to have a lot of Greys coming up. So we'll see if our minds change about any of this, because they do crazy things to us at some point. I mean, maybe they build up Cormac to be like the greatest love interest ever, and then 8 weeks from now I'm like contradicting myself. But
yeah, well, this show does have a way of doing that and finding a way to make us all of a sudden be like Team Cormac. So we'll see.
Yeah, but for now, let's ask you guys about this. Do you think Grey's is leaning too much into this love triangle direction? What do you want to see from Meredith? Share in the comments below, and if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking that link in the description to the CARTERMATT store, and we'll see you here next time.